Stephon, what's up, man?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Finally doing what we said we do a year ago. Start recording some of these conversations that we have, man. Things going on, a lot of crazy shit happening. There's always been crazy shit happening. And so I felt like, over the past year, we've both kind of stepped out into, obviously you were already doing your entrepreneurial thing. And, I've started to do mine, real estate, business consulting. And I think, now it's more important than ever to do it. The reason that I wanted to start recording these is because I feel like it's time that somebody who cares about business and is interested in business plainly and flatly states that we're in the middle of a fucking world war that's been raging for about 400 to 500 years. And we're at a place right now where entrepreneurship isn't a choice. Unless you physically piss your pants, when you think about starting your own business, you need to start your own business, period.
Absolutely.
Like, just if for no other reason, you have to start resisting in more sophisticated ways. And, this podcast is all about a bit of everything, right? It's a bit about the past, history. You need to know who you are. It's a little bit about the present, where we at, and a little bit about providing tools and tips and resources for you heading into the future. And what I'm really hoping to do is we grow and we expand. What I want to do is have conversations with entrepreneurs, not only ourselves, but other folks within the African diaspora, right? Just black folks who have businesses. I want to talk to more people who are willing to be blunt and who are willing to actually admit that what they're doing is resisting, right? Because, fuck else, if we don't want to call it resistance, there's a lot of us who are doing our own thing who didn't even realize that we were resisting, right? But they realize. When I say they, I mean mainstream. When I say they, I mean the dominant society, some people like to say, right? The powers that be characterize a lot of what we do as resisting when we don't even realize that that's what we're doing ourselves. Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture said that. He said you don't realize it. He even categorized like sagging pants. A lot of cats don't realize that's not just fashion, right? It's just opposite of mainstream. And we do a lot of things that are opposite of the mainstream out of spiritual, pure resistance, because that's who we are, right? So when I say entrepreneurship is not an option, when I say we're in the middle of a war, world war, right? Global in nature, right? Against our people who just so happen to look like us, right? And come from Africa, where we all, originate from. And when I say it's important that, we begin to reflect on how entrepreneurship is a resistance and how we can become more strategic in it. How do you feel about all that, man? Like, how do you feel about those topics, those statements?
No, that's great. Obviously, I started my company in 2006, and I didn't have any of those ideas in mind. All I knew was I was working in a broken system. The corporate system I was working in was broken. I couldn't put it into words, but I felt that it was broken. And at 4 a.m, I think I was still at work trying to finish some work in my corporate job, and I decided, this is not right. This is back in 2006. It didn't feel right. And of course I come from, my dad is an entrepreneur too, back home in Haiti. And so he always said, always work for yourself, never work for anybody else. And so, at 4 a.m, that day that it happened to me. So, but I think now more than ever, it's clear that corporate America is not out. It's out for itself, for one. But I think more and more, I realize personally that it's just a waste of time. So that's why I started to have my own business. But in 2019, where we are today, I think we don't have a choice. We have to, teach our children, teach ourselves that working for corporate is not the place to be. Okay, so yeah. So in this show, in these conversations we're going to be having, I would like to, obviously I'm going to be focusing a lot on the business aspect of it. Yeah. And then obviously we're going to talk about, the social aspect of this world in America that we're living in, and these social issues are real, and talk about those. And then you bring obviously all many of the social topics, and we can combine both of them together and have a good conversation.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of people, people closest to us know this, right? A lot of people would, I think, be interested in that backstory of the fact that, when I first moved to Texas from Louisiana, you're the first person I worked for in the state of Texas, working with you and your moving company. And it was through great times. And it was through conversations like these that it was like, okay, hey, let's team up.
That's right.
Work for work within a business that's really like family. Really
that's close. Right.
And I learned a lot. I learned a bunch just in terms of the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, how hard it can be, how prosperous it can be, and just the level of dedication that you have to it day in and day out for years and years and years and years in order to truly say that you did something.
Right.
And that definitely served to open my eyes to a lot in terms of what you can do. And again, it's like you said, in these conversations, it's important to both of us that just like then when we first really became friends, became like brothers, it really was an important understanding of, oh no, we can't work for anybody. We can't work for them,
right?
Especially,
right.
And understanding that what entrepreneurship is in the hands of a black person is just like anything in the hands of a black person. Entrepreneurship, education, right?
Right.
The ability to create social movements, the ability to create art, the ability to create, war, whatever it is that you want to put in the hands of us, it is seen as a threat. And that's why there's so many people are discouraged from doing it. A lot of people don't understand this. A lot of, even folks who are, they understand that not everyone has their back when they decide to do their own thing and become an entrepreneur and begin to study a particular field, a niche, so that they can have an understanding of how they want to run things. They don't get a lot of support, but they don't realize the reason that they don't get a lot of support is the level of brainwashing that a lot of people have been given. And you think you understand, but you have no idea like how tough it is. So I'm going to ask you a question. So you said your dad was an entrepreneur back in Haiti, right? So in the Haitian culture, the concept of entrepreneurship, is it shunned upon? Is it looked like it's a very normal thing?
No, it's great. It's elevated more than it is here. And actually, I speak for Haiti, but I think in other parts of the world too, entrepreneurship is elevated to a point where it's obviously better to work for yourself, So my dad was always worked for himself. Always, he was, he's not feeling too well these days. But on his heyday, he was, really out there. He started a lot of different businesses. Some worked really well, some didn't work really well, and so he had even a business in Florida where he had a warehouse and he was making detergent out there.
Oh wow!
He was making it here and then ship it back to Haiti, but there was embargo and all that stuff. So I see him going through a lot of economic situations with the country and still thriving, still doing well, even though he had lots of blows, but still, because he started so many businesses, I didn't want that path.
Yeah,
I didn't want that path. I wanted to work somewhere and get an education and work somewhere and don't worry about it, But after I worked in corporate, I decided, that wasn't the right thing. And I left it, like I said before, it's not like, I knew what I was doing. I just felt like it wasn't right. So here we talked about this before, where we live in a very rich country. America is a very rich country financially. So when we talk about business, starting a business at a certain level may seem like it's nothing. May seem like it's starting a moving company. You're gonna be in a dusty old warehouse that's about a little office like we were. Remember that?
Yeah.
With a little dusty old office. It's not glamorous, if you will. So people can look down on that, or you may look down on yourself and like, I don't want to do this. I left a corporate job, a beautiful campus where you had like, I had, there was like 2 gyms clean. Got the maid cleaning it at night, and it's beautiful. You got the cafeteria there, and then you settle for this. So it can be, but looking out to what I was doing then, I was like, I didn't think of it that way, because coming from Haiti, coming from where I come from, I would need a lot more than that to make me feel bad.
Right. Right.
But looking out, I'm like, I could see, yeah. Man, if you know where I come from, man, like, this was nice. Right. I got a nice road to come to work. I got electricity and I got running water. Right. Are you serious? And AC too. We got an AC. It works sometimes. Yeah, most of the time I think it works. Right. If you put your head in there, it works.
Just open the door.
Yeah, open the door, man.
That's real. But you know what, man? And again, that's another reason that I'm glad we're doing this, is because if you put things into proper context, they become a lot easier for you mentally. Yeah. And what I mean by that is if you would open your eyes and realize that what you do every day, that you work for yourself, is to struggle righteously.
Right.
Then you would understand, it's a struggle. It's not supposed to look comfortable.
Right.
It's not supposed to look nice. Not to a certain point. Right. You have to earn that.
Yeah.
Like you got to deliver blows, right? Like you have to strike serious blows as far as kind of biting off your own chunk and creating your own economy. At
the same time, when you go into it, it's just the uncertainty is the one that, really was bad for me. It's like you are creating a path for yourself. You don't really have anybody telling you, like as a mover, like I don't have any moving experience before I started this in 2006, right? Nobody in my family did moving, so nobody to ask. Yeah. Nobody. So the uncertainty of walking in a path that was never walked in before by a family member or even a close friend, you can call, hey, what's up? What's going on? How do I do this? I have this issue. I'm going through a slump right now. I don't have any jobs. It took me like 3 years after I started the business to realize that, something as simple as there is a season when it comes to moving. People don't move all the time. People move in the summertime. Right. Now I know this, but at the time, why am I slow? And I'm spending money on marketing. Yeah. More money in the times where there was no business anyways.
Right.
And then later on I realized, there is a season, and that's when I need to spend the money on marketing. So learning all that stuff, and then, by starting the business, I realized more and more, it's like, if you don't start your own business, what example are you going to tell your children?
Correct.
How are you going to, this whole thing kind of like, it's when we worked together back in 2015, I kind of like I was looking at pictures earlier actually with Soraya, and we were looking at, with everything that we did it around our family.
Yeah.
Whereas when you work in the corporate environment, you did it around the employer.
Right.
You didn't do it with your family. You can have maybe a family day once a year or something like that. But every aspect of your life is connected to your children. Can be connected to your children. Should be. It's really easy to connect it to your children. Either you're going to go see a client, in the summertime when your kids are going to school. I can't tell you how many times I've been to a client, and 100% of the time when I go with Soraya, I get the job. Why? She gets to play with their kids, and then I get to talk to the parents about their move.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can integrate your children, or Soraya processing a payment for me, can process a payment,
right?
Visa or MasterCard,
right?
That's the question she likes to ask, So it's like, how are you going to do that if you work for a corporation? Do you really want to groom your child to work for a corporation down the line? Because that's what's going to happen. To me, the answer is absolutely no. And
that's the thing. It's that concept, right? Your corporate is a different beast. A doctor, to a slightly lesser extent, a lawyer. So a little lesser extent than that, an engineer, right? These are very skilled, very credentialed careers in such a way that when you establish a certain level in that career, a certain level of education, you're almost like an independent contractor, right? You can take your talent anywhere. Right. As opposed to corporate America, you are pigeonholed so much as whatever your resume says.
You're absolutely
right. Like it's just that's where you are. That's where what you've done dictates what you can do.
Right.
And so unless you decide to lie on that piece of paper, you have to, essentially go with where anybody's willing to take you, right? And then, get a year, get 2 years, get 3 years of experience to look loyal,
exactly.
Right? And this is what you're trying to mold your child to do. As you do that, they see that, they're going to copy that, they're going to think that that's perfectly acceptable. Right. And you have to understand that there is a great level of non-struggle involved with working corporate. Being educated in such a way, first of all, being educated in such a way that would lead to a corporate job, and then working in corporate, it's difficult. It provides its own difficulties, right? But it's not quite to the level of those specific professions that I named earlier, right? So you're teaching your child to, in many ways, settle for what you can be given versus what it is that you can go out and get for yourself. That right there is very, very dangerous, because you have to understand that the world itself is designed that way anyway.
That's right.
So what you're telling them is to make a way of life out of it.
Yes. To get into that, to enter the inefficiency of corporate America. And to
be dependent on an inefficient system.
You educate them to be, enter that inefficiency. And you may be doing that not knowing that you're doing that. You may be doing that because you never stop and think about it. Because we have issues, we have identity issues. You and me. Some people don't have it yet. Some people have it when they're 13. Some people have it when they're 15. Some people have it when they're 40. Some people have it. Some people may never have it. So the identity crisis that I'm going through personally right now, into like, not wanting my children to go work for corporate America and that sort of thing, or me resisting going back to corporate America whenever we have a slump here in the moving business, that sort of thing. That's something that some people may not be willing to fight, not be willing to even put on the table. Do we have that issue? And the issue is real. It's real. You asking them to incorporate themselves in a world that's very inefficient, which is the corporate world. And I don't want that for them at all. I want the way I see it as, corporate America can be an option if you have nothing else going on for you. As my kid. But I would like to put tools in your hands. I would like to pass my information to you at the age that you are, 8 years old, 9 years old, whatever. Pass it on down to you, so that way you can have tools today to have your own business. And
is there, and to that point, is there anything that you've done in business to this point that an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old can't understand?
Everything.
It's simple, right? It's all simple.
It is.
It's the dedication to it, and that's the thing, right? That's what you're teaching them, right? So first of all, in terms of teaching them practical business skills, which I learned a lot of from you, right? I mean, I have a degree in finance. I worked in accounting firms, logistics companies. I learned more in less than a year.
Interesting.
That little moving company.
And that's something?
It's crazy.
It's crazy, right?
It's crazy,
And God knows I didn't tell you anything. We were just doing it together.
On the fly, man.
Doing everything together. Absolutely. And that's exactly right. And we're going to be talking about this too. I have an accounting degree at USC. Didn't understand jack. Right. Didn't understand jack. When I tell you, and I wasn't the only one. As a matter of fact, the school gives you a 4-year degree, but they don't even try to test you for the CPA exam because they know you ain't gonna pass it. Right. They didn't try to teach you that. They were trying to, I don't know, get some money out of you.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, right. So you spend 2 years there, you get a degree, goodbye. But they never spend time to make you understand what you're trying to do. Now I'm 40 and I'm going back to accounting. And honestly, man, this book, you see how big it is right here? Yeah. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. I'm really enjoying it because that's what they should have been teaching me all along.
How to do it.
Yeah. And why you're doing it. Understanding, the basics of it. I don't need to know, the very, very details of how iBanking works. At the time that was the hot thing, right? iBanking back in 2000, back in 99, 2000, that's around the time I went to school. So that's the time where iBanking was a big deal. Everybody wanted to work for Goldman Sachs, So therefore, everything was geared around that. And when I graduated, guess what? Nobody wants to work for an iBank anymore. If there was anything around, there was very little amount of work. Yeah. So now you're left with the basics again, the 3 financial statements, your income statement, your balance sheet, and your cash and statement of cash flow. That's all there ever was.
Yeah.
This other stuff they were doing,
fads.
they were teaching us that I could not understand were fads. We're accounting fads, financial fads that are no longer around us anymore for the most part. Sarbanes-Oxley took away a lot of those things, and people realized, okay, we can't really do this mainstream anymore. So the school was teaching all that stuff, so I didn't get to learn that there, because they had a different agenda at the time. So so that's funny, right? So I didn't get any teaching, but we were doing things that are practical every day, man. And I think I owe it to myself, and we all owe it to ourselves. Whenever we're learning something, let's get down to the very basic understanding of what we are trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think that can make life a lot easier, especially for business. So you can hear someone say, you need to have this, you need to have that, you need to have this to start your business, but step back a little bit and then kind of like figure out, okay, what makes sense for you, and then try to understand everything they're telling you, the basics of it. And I think that's where we all need to start.
I mean, I think for any business, right? What I've found is if you have a service or a good, right, that you provide, it's the experience around the provision of that service or good, right? Creating a positive, consistent experience around that service or good. Common sense, right? Just got back from Belize. And the beautiful part about Belize, first of all, it's a black country. It's beautiful. Right on the Caribbean down there in Central America. The really beautiful thing, my favorite part about Belize was the people, period. Hands down. Yes, it's a beautiful country. Yes, it's cheap, right? It was cool. Stayed in some real dope spot, ate some real dope food. But it's the people. And one thing is, it's one of those places, because it's not America, the UK, or Canada, where you can haggle for anything. You can haggle over whatever it is that you're purchasing, right?
Right.
And there's not really a great deal of back and forth, right? So somebody might say, oh, this is going to cost you 20 Belize, and I might say, I only have 15. Okay. That's it. Like, okay, right? Why? Yes, because like we look at it, because you want them to come back. Right, but it's bigger than that. It's because they know that you're gonna feel like you won, and of course they won. They made a profit on what it is that they were selling, and that's it. As long as they didn't lose money, they just cash flowed, right? And that's business. Right, that really is business. So working real estate investment, right, and in dealing with real estate investment on an acquisition standpoint, I work with investors who want to buy properties all over Houston, different parts of Texas, Louisiana, things like that. And one thing about a lot of those conversations is a lot of those people are simply trying to do what someone tells them to do. They don't understand that a lot of, just like formal education, a lot of the things that they've been taught were taught by people who are marketing them to sell a course or some sort of packaged education, right? Or something that they've packaged up, curated, and said, here you go. Learn this, buy this, learn it, you're going to be successful. Of course, that's what they have to say. You're not going to buy it if they don't tell you you're going to be successful, right? You're not going to buy it if they can't convince you that you're going to be successful with that, right? But when I talk to people who do this, Chinese people, Indian people, Pakistani people, right? Who have been doing this, right? The old civilizations, right? You know what they tell me? Right? Oh, I don't care about that. I don't need that much equity in a property when I buy it. I just need some. Right? I'll be fine as long as I don't lose money. If I have to sell it tomorrow, as long as I don't, if I get $1 off of it, it was a great deal. That's it. That's the mentality. And you know what happens when they get it in their hands? They never, ever, ever sell it. Ever. When I talk to Americans, and when I say Americans, I'm really mainly concerned with black folks, to be honest. Black people who are trying to get in investing, which I think is very beautiful. It's a great way to make money. But you have to understand what real estate is, and you have to understand how business works. Right. When I talk to those people, they want 30%. They want at least 20%. Some people might take 15%, right? But they don't understand that it's about positive cash flow and hanging on to an appreciating asset. That's it. That's all. But that's not glamorous, because the people who sold them, whatever it is that they bought, sold them on glamour. Right? And that's another thing. Those two things don't mix with entrepreneurship.
No.
Those two things don't mix.
No, they don't. Like entrepreneurship is dirty. It's ugly. It's ugly.
It's dirty. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Hollywood is so dirty. Hollywood cannot even go there.
They can't. That's why you don't see. That's a big reason you don't see more stories of true entrepreneurship.
No, you don't.
It's not glamorous.
No, it's dusty.
Yeah, and a lot of people will tell you, "Oh, it's because there's a conspiracy."
With the situation is really like a lot slower, and not as glamorous.
Yeah,
you know, on a good way or a bad way. You know, either way, it's just like a slow process that is ugly and dirty and boring.
Yeah.
You know, the exciting part about it is that you're not working for corporate America.
And to that point, I'm not going to get too deep. But the reason it's slow and torturous like that is because when you stick with it, right? When you stick with it, like you said, what you end up doing is you end up mastering yourself. By the time you master your business or your industry or whatever it is that you are doing, taking on as an entrepreneur, by the time you master it, just like anything else, right? Like Kung Fu, right? You master yourself. Like that's what it is, right? Journey of 1,000 miles starting with a single step, right? Single, So, and that's the key. Like nothing that looks like that is glamorous. Nothing that mastery of anything is boring.
Right.
It looks bad. But you got to understand that the beautiful part, and to be honest, this is why I chose to do my own thing and why I have to stay out of corporate. The moment that I took my corporate job, right? This is the job that I took after I stopped working for you.
The
moment I took that job, my personal growth stopped.
And a lot of people, and you were trying to make it exciting too.
Man. Yeah, right.
Every time I talk to you, you were upbeat about it. You know, we're trying to do something.
Because they're selling it to you, right?
Right.
And there is a certain level of latitude that you might get depending on your position in an organization to make it better. Because they want you to make it better to an extent. But once I became a leader, once I became a manager, once I had a team of my own, right? I would watch these folks try to do what I did and elevate themselves and elevate the company. And they would get very frustrated. And they would just kind of start banging their heads on the wall, being like, hey man, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, I don't feel comfortable with this, I don't feel comfortable with that. I literally sat my team down one day and I said, you have to understand, this is where I was at that point, burnt out. I'm like, you have to understand one thing. This is a corporation. Everything here is inefficient except one thing, the thing it's designed to do. Do you know what that thing is? They looked at me like
it's from Mars. Yeah.
Like I was from Mars, right?
Yeah.
I was like, it's designed to suck the soul out of you. It is designed to steal the essence of you and pay you bullshit in return for it. That's it. That's what it's designed, and it does it so well.
It does.
That's the one thing that any company does well, right?
It does.
All you do, the company doesn't really care. The things that you sit down and have meetings about, your supervisor, manager, superiors, whoever, C-suite comes in and they say, hey, these are the objectives. A, B, C, and D. We need to hit them, right? The person who just told you that is still going to get paid a bonus whether you hit that shit or not. Period. They will. They will. They're going to get their money. They're in good because organizations reward loyalty. Corporations reward loyalty far over efficiency or performance, right? Contribution, dedication to the actual job task at hand. I tell people that all the time. If you want to get into corporate America, right? Because entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Just like struggle, resistance is not for everyone. You got some people, hey, look, it might be a struggle, it might be serious, but you're going to have people who lay down and spread the cheeks. That's going to happen.
Absolutely.
That's just in the history of the world, right?
All the time.
For those people, heads up, if that's what you want to do, all you have to do is be the most loyal, like tap dancer you could possibly be like Steven and Django. If you can do that, you'll be fine. Like you're gonna go far. You can be an idiot.
Right.
You will go very far. Right. And that's the spite race.
Right.
Because loyalty is special. Like people, like it's really hard to find loyal people just in general in life. They understand that and recognize that. As long as you toe that line.
And it's funny you say that. I could not feel loyal to corporate America. And when you don't feel loyal in what you're doing, you are doing a disservice to the corporation you're working with, but even more to yourself personally. That's what I felt, because it's like, why am I doing this? Yeah. It's like I cannot be loyal to that company. I cannot. Like, we're laughing all the time. It's like, man, if I work for someone, honestly, I cannot do anything for you.
It is just a shitty job. So
I'm always going to try to do my own thing, you know? And I guess, some of us are like that, some of us are not. But I don't know. if that's true, if some people are wired this way or not, because like I said, I didn't want to do anything entrepreneurial, until I did it.
Yeah.
Until I was fed up with corporate. And how could you not be fed up with it?
Well, yeah, and that's where I had to go with it. Like I don't care what anybody says. I wouldn't have felt the way that I feel if I hadn't done it first.
Yeah.
So if I hadn't explored that route, I killed it. I don't know, like my record was fucking amazing in corporate. Like it was nice, right? But it didn't mean anything. It never means anything.
Pushing paper.
That's it. That's all you're doing. Pushing paper from one side to another.
Yeah.
That's all you're ever doing.
And how can you be happy with yourself? How could I be happy with myself doing that? Because life has a bigger purpose than that.
It does.
And every day we are living. I think having obviously having your own business, your corporation, your own company, you may not feel 100% all the time, but rest assured that every day that you are doing your own thing, you are enriching yourself more than the profit that you're making by a multiplier of more than one. I think.
So I got a question for you, just to illustrate a point. So how old were you when you left corporate? Full time.
I left in 28. Actually, this day, 2013. Today, this Friday, right?
6 years.
Yeah. Today, that's when today was my last day at work.
Wow.
Yeah, or yesterday was my last day.
Perfect day to start this podcast.
Yeah, right. I just realized that, man.
That's wild, man.
Just realized that, man.
So that's 6 years ago.
Yeah, I left full time in 2006. That's when I was working for a public accounting firm, and then I bought my first little truck then.
Yeah, man. So
and I kept working.
So how old were you?
When I bought the truck?
6 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Was
I'll tell you what. Yeah. Let's go back. When you bought the truck, how old were you?
Oh man, so that was in 2006. So that's 13
years ago, right?
Yeah, 13 years ago. Yeah. 13.
So you're backing up.
That was 27.
Methuselah's age minus 13. 27.
Yeah.
All right, so you were 27-year-old.
My God.
Yeah, you old shit, man. So, all right, so
27. Yeah.
27 years old when you decided to start to do your own thing, right? You got that itch, right? 27. So, in terms of entrepreneurship, right? How old were you day one? Like I know the answer seems obvious, but now that you have perspective, because I'm pretty sure there was some shit you thought, okay, I got this figured out. I'll go through some bumps and bruises. I'll learn.
I didn't have nothing figured out. All I knew was the U-Haul address to go pick up the truck.
Yeah.
And I had, and prior to that, the day before, I got a guy calling me to say he needs to move some stuff in Amarillo. That was my first job. I did some advertising on Craigslist. Some jobs in Amarillo. Go pick. If I can take something. I didn't even know what it was because I was working for corporate America, right?
Yeah.
So I was.
It was like 800 miles.
I was in the conference room. Man, it was a blur. The whole thing was a blur. All I know is I got stopped like 10 times. I had an illegal immigrant in my car, in my truck. We're going up there. We got stopped 10 times. Thank God, nothing happened.
Yeah.
I was super nice with the police officers, but the tags weren't done. Nothing was done. I just knew this is it. And then that took me like 2 days, 3 days.
Man.
So obviously I lost my job then. I didn't lose it, but I got in trouble.
Right.
Okay. I was gone for 3 days. I didn't even call anybody. I didn't even care.
Oh, you pulled a no call, no show, bro?
Man, because we were like on a deadline. I work like we always are.
Yeah.
12 months in the year. So what am I going to say? It's always a deadline. It never stops. So I just got up and left. And I knew I was going to come back. I didn't want to be there anymore. And that's where I bought the truck too, because they were just overworking everybody there.
Yeah.
They didn't have enough people to work and all that stuff. So that was in 2006, and that's when I first quit. And then after I quit that job, I got another one for a company that the hours were more reasonable. It was more like an 8-9 hour day type of thing, and that was my last job.
Okay, I didn't know that, man. So all right, and so then the next question is this: when you talk about obviously you got that bug. You got bit with that bug. I'm gonna start my own thing. I'm gonna do my own things. I can't do this shit anymore. And I know I can't. Right? So you put in another 7 years, roughly.
Yeah, 7 years.
So tell me about the role that education played. Like, so were you educating yourself that entire time from the time that you started? Was there a point where you really started to really focus and put the extra hours in learning how to make that thing work?
No, it's just one situation you're trying to solve with another. You know, when you first start, even if something like today, I would say, you know, like we were saying, like the busy season starts in the summer. I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
When I first bought, I didn't know anything about moving. I didn't know anything about shrink wrapping things or protecting anything. I didn't know anything whatsoever. What license to take. So it was very naive on my part.
Yeah. YouTube was still kind of new. Like,
yeah, YouTube was kind of new. I don't even think I visited YouTube that much then.
I think Chocolate Rain was still hot when we started.
MySpace was hot.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
Yeah, MySpace. Yeah. So now a lot of information was out there. So, and then I didn't have anybody. I just moved here, by the way, moved to Houston. I was new to Houston. But all I knew was I felt that Texas had less red tape than California did.
Yeah,
so I moved from California to here. In California, I don't think I could ever start a business out there because the licenses are high. In California, we present what a big state or a big country can do to entrepreneurship. You can't not start a moving company in California with one truck.
Right.
It's just not going to be feasible. Okay, it's going to cost you way too much. So that world of moving wouldn't have been for me at all to even start. Because they would just bury me in fees and here there are licenses you need to get, but they're a lot cheaper than in California. So I think Texas for that and I think Texas has a leg up on a lot of these states.
Yeah, very business friendly
for now. Very business friendly. For all levels.
Yeah.
And that's really important because one can argue that California is business friendly too. If you are a certain if you are at a certain market cap, already. Yeah.
Well, that's another thing I would say too, and not even to get off on that, but there's oil everywhere. Like people talk about, well, Texas, oil and gas. Like there's oil and gas everywhere.
Yeah, you just look at the import-export of America. Yeah. It is oil and gas, and it's everywhere.
But there's a reason that the businesses are here.
When you talk about Absolutely. There's oil and gas in California too. Yeah. Absolutely.
They're just so deregulated. Everything's deregulated in Texas. And that's the thing. That one thing I would say that I learned too was the political process. Being in Texas shows, if you pay attention, it shows you the power of the political process in America and what you can do with it when you wrangle control of the political process. Like people in Texas show up to the Capitol.
They do.
Like they show up, like old ass dudes, like especially landowners.
Absolutely,
they show the fuck up, and then they
make a lot of noise. That's where they work. And it's a beautiful thing when you go up there every other year. I think it's odd years. I think next year is going to be the legislative session where you can literally go there and voice your concern or bring a bill to a senator and that sort of thing. And the beautiful thing, you see a lot of people. Especially old white men, that are probably retired and that understand the process, and they're there representing themselves. They're just sitting in front of the senator that may hear their case, and the senator may not be there, but they're there waiting. They rent space out. They rent hotel rooms up there around that time, and they just go into work, and that's a beautiful thing. And when you're not ready, and I was there. Ironically, I was there with one year with the Houston Minorities Council, and we're presenting small minority businesses. We rented a bus, and we all went there. About 30 of us went there, and we had talking points to ask. The certain senators, we go from senator to senator and talk to them about the issues of the minority group or things that the bills that we support and that sort of thing. And one of the issues with minority businesses is that it's so diluted now. It's been getting diluted, and one of the things that we wanted to go up there is to kind of like put a curb to that, But little did we know there was another bill that was going to make it more diluted. And we didn't have that bill. We had no idea about it.
So tell me about that. I want you to tell me about that bill, and I want to use that to get into why you're saying what you're saying, why that's the reality. But go ahead.
Yeah, so we went up there and we had like 3 points we had to make to our senators. We want this, we want this, we want this. So 3 things. It's been a few years, so I don't remember exactly what we were talking about. But I remember though, that when we came back, we realized there was another bill, the one that really mattered, that wasn't part of those 3 that we spent a whole day talking and pushing for.
Yeah.
Those 3 bills that we were pushing for didn't matter. The other one that they brought in, which was to expand the minorities, right, to veterans at the time.
Yeah, disabled veterans.
Disabled veterans at the time. So prior to that, it was diluted by including women, by including different groups. And then that year we went up there, it was to include veterans in there. So now veterans are a part of it. So the issue with that is, it's like, it's so diluted that it doesn't matter.
Correct.
So if you are a black person trying to get win a bid somewhere, so someone can have a business and they put it under their wife's name. The wife has nothing to do with the business.
Nope.
But she gets to the company gets to take advantage of being a minority company. Or you can have somebody who the owner is not, we've never been to war, but somebody works there and say, hey, I can put my name on there and we can be this part. So
be a partner.
Yeah.
Be a partner.
So you can't really fake that you're black.
Right.
You can't really fake that.
No, you can't.
So that's the issue that this group had. So one day we'll talk about the minority council and how those groups are, what those groups are doing and but at the end of the day though, whether you're minority or not doesn't matter. Like we were talking about before we started recording this, is to find something that's gonna make you special. Like like I was saying before, it's like that guy invented something within an industry that's very saturated.
Yeah.
And he's making a lot of money because his invention is nobody else has it.
Right.
So I think that's what we have to always fight for, not so much, relying on politics, although it's there, but is to really keep being innovative.
Yeah. Well, so that's an interesting point that you made. I was talking to a buddy of mine, engineer, smart guy, right? Really smart. He has a great dream. I promised him I wouldn't tell anybody what it is, but it's big. It's very big, and I told him it's very important that he pursue that. And anything that he needs, he's got from me. He's got from my network. We got him. But in talking about that, I just kind of took him through a trip of history to make sure that he understands the rich history of African Americans specifically, innovation, right? And then as a whole, larger black innovation throughout human history, right? And what that means and what that looks like. And he made a statement. He said, man, we don't do that anymore. He was like, we don't innovate the way that we used to. I said, wrong. We do, but we do it while working for white corporations.
Amen. But you know what? You tell them also, there's 2 things. There's quantitative and qualitative. So we have a large quantity of inventions.
Yep.
Now we need to qualify them.
Yeah.
We need to work on them.
Correct.
We don't need, of course we need to invent more, but we have a lot right now that we can work off of. Also, like you go to to a black school, you see pictures of inventors.
Yeah.
I'm thinking right now Washington, Tarver,
Booker T. Washington, and George Washington Carver.
George Carver. I'm thinking about the different. So you see a lot of, but what does it do?
Yeah.
What have they done?
Yeah.
What have we done with those inventions?
Have we innovated on top of that?
Yeah.
Built on top.
That's
of that?
what we need to do.
And that's a big.
And it's already there. It's available to us.
Yeah. And that's a big issue. A lot of people don't understand that. Just Booker T. Washington, just to piggyback on that though. In Tuskegee, he created like the first incubator. Right. He created the first place where black minds, right, and agricultural and mechanics could just work. They could lab. They could invent, right, and they could maintain domain over their inventions. They could maintain their patents and things like that. A lot of people understand. People talk all the time about his name escapes me, but the black man who invented the carbon filament for the light bulb, right? Which is the key. Like that was the whole game. Just because you put a piece of metal in a fucking glass bulb and it works for 2 seconds and burns out, that doesn't mean you invented the light bulb. You know what I mean? But the key to a light bulb is the filament. That's the whole thing, right? And so you start to talk about, different types of light. But the whole point is, he invents that, right? But that credit ultimately goes to who?
Edison.
Edison, right? Why? Because he invented it at Menlo Park. That's Edison's shit, right? Edison has ownership, so anything that came out of that, Edison owned.
Right, sure.
It's like, like a lot of people don't even understand that the reason that movies are in LA, the reason that movies are in Hollywood is because they were escaping the East Coast. All the movies used to be made on the East Coast, New York, New Jersey. Edison owned the patent to motion pictures, period. So you couldn't do anything without going through Edison's company. When you start to talk about making movies, they moved that shit to the West Coast because it was far enough from them to where by the time they got wind of it and wanted to take legal action, it's too late. The money was already made, right? That's why Hollywood is Hollywood. A lot of people don't know that. You know what I mean? Escaping that. So if they can do it, why can't we do it?
Oh, absolutely, we can.
Right? And the other reason that we have Hollywood, this big giant media and propaganda machine that we have, is because as soon as they built it, they protected it. They brought the mob out to LA to protect that industry.
Right.
And so that's another thing, right? We have to innovate, we have to invent, and we have to have a purpose for it, right? And again, that's where entrepreneurship comes from. You're not just inventing for the sake of inventing. Now, how can we put these inventions to use? How can we distribute them? So I say, not only do we need to innovate more, so first of all, we have entrepreneurship that gives us a practical purpose, a reason, right? We need to make money off of it. We need to sell, we need to be merchants, right? Like we once were. And then from there, you need to be able to make sure that you socialize information amongst ourselves, patent information, right? But allow the inventors to hold their patents, right? Perhaps lease their ideas instead of taking full ownership of them and stealing them from them, right? And have companies that distribute these things, right, to other companies who might use them for greater purposes or whatever, but make sure that we're getting paid. Make sure that the inventors are getting paid, right? There's no reason you can't do that.
Right.
And this is the way that we have to start thinking, right? Why? Because you have to start thinking about, first of all, being non-reactionary, which is something I gotta give you full credit for introducing that thought to me, right? Which is, as a people, we're just far too reactionary. Things happen and then we react.
Right.
Just start doing it.
Yeah.
Don't think too much about it.
Well, that came from your boy Carmichael.
Yes, Oakland. Yeah.
Yeah. That's who that came from, and he was reactionary in the past.
Yeah.
And then he grew up.
Yeah, he was doing SNCC. He was doing Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
Right.
Yeah.
So he understood when he said that. I was like, okay, he's coming from a guy who was reactionary, and then who was a protester, and he is becoming something. Let's think forward about this, and that's what we're doing with this conversation. It's about entrepreneurship. It's nothing new. What we were talking about is, let's understand that it's not an option.
Yeah, it's not
for all these reasons.
Correct.
Because to hold a patent for yourself, you have to be doing it yourself.
So to that point, right? To that point about you have to be doing it yourself. When we talk about yourself, I want to be very, very clear. While we do this podcast, while we have these conversations, as people listen, I will strike from the record. I will refuse to use or publish the word minority. Right? You have to understand what that word means. And you'll figure it out really soon. I'm really into history. Like the more you listen to this, you realize this dude just reads a shitload of history books about our struggle, about where we came from, right? I'm going to use black. That's what I'm going to use. Because I want to make sure people understand that I am referring to melanated people from Africa, right? And not so melanated people too. But as long as they identify as black.
We need a black book, man. We need a black book of businesses.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Is that out there already?
There's things like Black Pages. It's something. Now for local, like we talk about Houston, I just discovered this website, Visit Houston, Visit Black Houston.
Oh yeah. You mentioned that to me.
It's pretty good, man.
Is it? Okay,
good.
Good.
Yes, it's because it's up to date. And the problem with Black Pages in a lot of cities, like New Orleans has it. I used to live in New Orleans. Yeah. Memphis has it. Atlanta has it. Houston has it. It's out of date. They don't keep up with it.
Oh yeah.
But that's really important. Because you have to, again, you have to create an ecosystem for it. Everything you do, if you are black, you have to start to think black. And once you do that, the ideas start to flow. I've noticed, right? You'll start to realize that you have a purpose because you can't be confused when you say, okay, cool, I'm going to go black first on everything, right? In my thinking, it's going to be black first, right? Because you start to realize the common good that creates for the world in general, right? Like it just does. Because it's a lot harder to confuse people whenever you quit playing that back and forth kind of pity pat about, oh yeah, shit's real bad out here, but that's just the world. That's just the way it is. No, it's not just the way it is. It's by design. So what are you going to do in response? By design, right? And it all starts with when you start to look at, we talk about things such as minorities, right? But when you get into it, as far as protections and protected groups, like you said, why was it so diluted when you guys went to talk about those bills with Congress? Why were what's considered to be historically underutilized businesses is technically the term, right?
Yes, it is.
Why was it so diluted? Because we can say, oh, this is for the protected classes as discussed in the Civil Rights Bill, right? But then they start to expand on it and grow on it because it was already diluted from the beginning.
Right.
That's the Civil Rights Bill. The Civil Rights Bill, which was unnecessary.
Yeah.
There's just no fucking need for it. Like, there's just no need.
That wasn't the purpose anyway.
That wasn't the purpose. Yeah. I mean, as far as Lyndon Johnson.
That's what new conversations tomorrow.
To this point in corporate, I worked for a white guy. He was my manager. It's a dude who hired me, and there's this movie on HBO called All the Way. It's about Lyndon Johnson and Martin Luther King, and shouts out to Anthony Mackie. But I wouldn't recommend it because to me it's just another one of those white savior movies, right? Because everybody's like, oh, Lyndon Johnson was the president of Civil Rights Bill. This is the same dude who referred to the Civil Rights Bill as the nigger bill.
I see.
Just for people who want to give him credit for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have enough. Look, listen. I don't have to kowtow. Like, I don't have to step and fetch for people because we got enough black people who do that already. Like, we have enough black people who will take up for those people already. I can just spit you the facts, and then you can determine which side you want to be on of the argument on the aisle there. But it was always watered down. It was always designed to be watered down. You look this up. The longest filibuster. You know what a filibuster is? The longest filibuster in the history of the U.S. Senate. So that's when filibuster allows you, before the passage of a bill, to just talk. And as long as you can talk, you can just talk, right? The longest filibuster in the history of the United States Senate was on the Civil Rights Bill. Like a couple dudes
to stop it from going through.
And these were at the time were Democrats, the Dixiecrats, right? So these were this is the party of Lyndon Johnson. Again, this is the reason black people vote Democrat. Right? It was because, they passed the Civil Rights Bill, which meant absolutely nothing, which anybody who was any kind of authority or mind at the time was telling people, we don't need that. It means nothing, right? We got laws already, as Malcolm X famously said. We have laws, they just need to enforce them, right? And so the inclusion of women in terms of discriminated groups completely killed it, watered it down. And if you think I'm lying, it's 2019. Where are women right now? The pay gap still remains the same, right? We're just now getting to a point where Me Too started popping off like 3 years ago.
And creating those rights for different groups is assuming that this group is not from here. I mean, assuming I'm not from here, I'm from Haiti. Yeah, there can be a law for me. Yeah, there can be a law for Chinese people. Yeah, but we're talking about people who are
citizens, like taxpayers.
Not only citizens, people who give their blood to this country. So it's like the whole thing is a mess. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? So. In this, I don't know if I can talk about talk about
whatever the hell you
finishing up what we're talking about, which is this podcast about really giving the tools and the incentive to start your own business. And we're gonna go back and forth between the different topics that we have, entrepreneurship, Black identity. I mean, from entrepreneurship to Black identity, and everything in between.
Everything in between, Because the two, we talked about this. The two go hand in hand.
Of course.
They're inseparable, right? And again, taking it back to the top of the podcast, it's not an option.
No,
entrepreneurship at this point is not an option at all, because I can tell you from both sides of the spectrum, both sides of the aisle, like corporate, if that's what you want to do, cool, right? But understand that when you talk about why we're faced with the issues that we're faced with, it's because we haven't built anything to this point. Excuse me, we haven't rebuilt anything because we built it before, right? But we need to constantly be rebuilding, like ants
Absolutely.
in an anthill, right? Just start immediately. Shit just got fucked up. Right? Cool. Build it up. It doesn't matter, right? And there's so many levels to that. It goes into entrepreneurship. It goes into nationalism. It goes into self-defense. It goes into self-reliance.
Absolutely.
A lot of that feeds into it. So
it goes into understanding that we are in a country that has the largest black diaspora in the world. And tap into that. It goes to also understanding that we have access to the world. Why do we stay here? Why don't we explore more businesses? I'm not talking about going to visit places, beautiful, Eiffel Tower and things like that. I'm talking about going to explore other countries and see opportunities there.
Oh, you'd be surprised, man. This is crazy. So the craziest thing is, you talk to guys who have that entrepreneurial spirit, right? And they can only see things within the context of America's shores and borders.
Yeah, sure.
They can only see things that, oh man, I got an idea for an app, but I don't know. Because I see something like that. Hey man, there's countries, there's nothing remotely like some of the ideas that you come up with.
Right.
And they'll love you.
Right.
Just show up. Just show up.
Yeah.
Because they know who you are.
Yeah.
They know who you are more than you know who you are in some instances. And in some instances, they don't even know you exist.
They don't.
And that's the crazy part about when we talk about our diaspora, right? African Americans play a really funny role in that, a really peculiar, really specific role.
And I'm excited to even talk about that too, man. It's like that role, of the diaspora, of the African American within this country, like explore that more. And the interaction between the different other minorities, black minorities and African American, always looking down on African American. You got the Nigerian looking down on African American. You got the Africans. I don't want to pick on Nigerian. I'm talking about Africans in general looking down. And it's like, I heard this guy today the other day. We fucking got Oprah, motherfucker. I forgot who said that. But who do you got?
We got Oprah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm Haitian. I'm talking about like African Americans have done a lot.
Yes.
Individually with what they got.
Right.
I mean, we we're not gonna be saying that here a lot because we already know that. But at the same time, we know African Americans done a lot of things individually within that context. What have South Africans done within that context?
Correct.
With the white man beating on their head with colonialism.
But it's not to say that they haven't.
Right.
It's not to say that they haven't. We just don't know. That's something we even being. They
don't got Oprah.
They don't. That's right, South Africans. You don't have a. You show me the South African Oprah, motherfucker. No, man, that's real though. That's real, and
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, let's not look down on each other.
Nah, man. But you have to seek to know.
That's the reason why I'm saying that. Let's.
I'll do this because you know me, man. You know me with history. A lot of people don't understand that at the beginning of the 20th century, the Pan-African Conference was just that, right? All the dark nations, as they call them at the time, right? Getting together and figuring out what the direction of Africa would be. I believe they had at least 5 conferences, right? That they held. W.e.b. Du Bois put that together. And at that time, they determined that it was of the utmost importance to liberate the African nations on the continent of Africa from colonial rule, right? There was...
We're talking about 1920s here, right?
I mean, earlier than that. I mean, we're talking about 1910s.
Okay.
And so, and we'll have to double check that. We'll fact check it and make sure that we have that up.
Yeah, we're talking about after World War II, that's for sure. Yeah. Before World War II.
Before World War II. Because you understand, like, World War I... It's
a big difference.
Because World War I went down and completely carved and changed the map of Africa. World War II happened. Same thing happened. A lot of people don't talk about that or discuss that. They think about the changes of Europe and Asia when they talk about World Wars I and II. But they don't understand that Africa was the most impacted, by far, the most impacted continent when you start to talk about the world wars, right?
Yeah.
Collectively.
And and to put in context, like W.e.b. Du Bois talking about in Booker T. Washington and Marcus Garvey talking about those situations before World War II makes a big difference. Because after World War II, it's kind of like it was understood that colonialism was coming to an end. After 1950.
to this point, and Kwame Nkrumah liberating or administering the liberation of Ghana, right, and the Ghanaian people from colonial rule, that was all a part of the design. Like, a lot of people don't understand that was all orchestrated in the Pan-African Conference half a century before that. Like, a lot of people think, oh, somebody did, that guy got the idea and then it spread from country to country to country. Like, that's not the way. That was an organized thing to different levels of success across that continent.
Right.
But to the point where if 100 and some change years ago, people could get together, sit down in one place, and just talk about the common enemy, the common ill, right? That was that all these places had in common. If they could do it then, man, I mean, I think we can do it now. But the key to it, and it all comes back to this, you gotta be able to get a seat at your own table. A lot of people talk about, black people need to have a seat at the world table, and they need to have a seat at the table with all these other powerful races and things. No, individuals, we just need to have fuck everybody else's table. Yeah. I don't want to sit at your table.
Absolutely.
Food's trash.
It is.
We got yams over here. We got yams. Like,
yeah. We got fufu.
Right, we got fufu. Right.
Got goosey soup.
Hey, we got.
Shit's so good.
Hey man, what's that pumpkin soup, man? The Haitian soup.
Oh, jumu. We got some jumu, man.
Hey man.
Yeah, we
got saying.
Yeah,
we got that. Our table is
just good.
Way flyer. And the music's better. So what I'm saying is,
straight.
Come on. I don't want to sit at your
table. And we got the music.
We got the music.
Yes, we do.
Right? So we don't need to sit at anybody else's table. Each individual has to be at a point where they say, as a man, as a woman, I can sit at our table.
Always pisses me off. Like, just coming over here, I was listening to the radio. It's like, oh wow, we have a superhero. He's a black superhero. Okay, dude, if a white person is making a movie and he wants to put a white man as a superhero, that's his prerogative.
That's it. That's what he does.
What the fuck do I have to do with that? Why do I have to look for a white person to represent me? Correct. Or Hollywood doesn't represent. Or now they have this show. It's called something about Super Color, something like that. It's a new movie, and the superhero is a woman. Turns out it's a black woman, and then you're like, wow, finally we have a black woman as a superhero.
Fuck all that. I'm a nerd.
Thank you.
The original Captain Marvel was black. That's neither here nor there. The original Captain Marvel. I'm just saying, Monica Rambeau. You can look it up. It's Captain Marvel.
But the thing is, we need to come up with it ourselves.
We do.
As long as we don't have any producers, and that's what I keep telling Soraya, to my daughter. It's like, I don't care to be an actor.
Yeah, don't be an actor and actress.
I want to be a producer.
Yes.
A director maybe, but a producer. Yeah. If that's the path you want to do, that's what you. Why? Because you're in power.
Correct.
And I was showing her the I'm really proud of that girl. She got a new movie called. We're still on the topic of We're still on the topic of entrepreneurship. She's 14. I'm sure her parents are helping her out, but they're putting the idea of entrepreneurship in her head. She was an actress in Blackish, and she's like, okay, now I want to be a producer. Yep. And she's produced her own movie.
Yeah. Which we gotta go see. Everybody,
we have to go see it.
You gotta support it.
I think there's some bad words, but I don't think it's that bad.
It'd be all right. Yeah. There's nothing worse than your kids hadn't already heard you say anyway.
No, I don't say bad things about my. I'm kidding. What are you talking about, man?
No, man.
I'm legit.
But that's absolutely right, man. And that's another thing we'll talk about.
Yeah.
That's what we'll talk about, man, is support, right? How to find black things and support black things. You have to buy with a purpose. That's a whole nother episode.
Buy with a purpose, yeah.
Yeah, but you have to buy with a purpose. That means movies. That means any kind of media.
And once we talk about, the soul point, it's like, if I can get a better product somewhere else, I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And that's the way we are. That's the way we were wired. And how do we approach that? And buying with a purpose, it's not just buying from someone because you're going to be disappointed.
Correct.
But buying with a purpose, like you said, we're going to delve into that, why we should buy it with a purpose.
Yeah.
Because when you get a default product, what do? You get return it, and then you don't blame. What we tend to do is we tend to blame the whole race.
Right.
You got a bad experience with someone, with a black person. Oh,
yeah,
that's the way black people are. That's the way we are. That's what we do.
Right.
We fuck up things.
Right.
But you had one bad experience, and you had that bad experience with someone else, and then you don't blame white people.
Right.
Because you had a bad experience with AT&T or Sprint,
Yep.
which is fucking up your shit all the time.
Constantly.
Yeah, you don't go, oh, white people always messing up your shit.
Right.
You know, always overcharging you and whatever. You don't say that. So we should do the same thing. But we have to do it with a purpose.
With purpose. You have to understand there's a reason. And a lot of people understand that is if you simply turn your eyes and turn your intent towards your own people, you have a louder voice than you realize. Right? You can tell them, we can tell each other how to improve.
Right.
We can tell each other how to refine. Right. If it's not quite getting there right, hey man, jerk chicken's a little dry, man. I don't know what's going on, right?
Right.
Tell that man.
Exactly.
Right? Tell that woman.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can do that. We have that ability to communicate.
That's right.
And if they don't want to accept it, they don't want to accept it. But don't assume this is something that you understand that you've been wired to think that you can't have an adult discourse with someone who looks like you.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Exactly.
And so things can improve. Things can be better if we fight for them to get better. But if you put them down the moment they're not exactly what you want, and what you want has been dictated by someone else, right? Because you've been marketed to by someone else who's set a certain standard that's really not good. Right. Like, people talk about all the time they travel out of the country. They're like, man, Coke tastes so much better outside of the country, right? Why? Because they can't put bullshit into it, right? And it's real sugar and all this stuff, right? But when you're in America, you want Coke. I want a Coke, man. I just want a Coke. It's a hot day. I want a Coke. Right? Well, who told you that this was good? Right? They did. And that's I've always been drinking Coke, right? Of course you have. But that's the thing, right? So you have an expectation and understanding of what the standard is because you've been brainwashed. That's what marketing is, man.
That's right.
So again, that's why it's really important. This is a show about entrepreneurship. This is a show about social. This is a show about history, social issues, history, politics, whatever you can think of. Right. The struggle as it is,
because it's all together.
Correct.
We cannot attack it. The same way we cannot talk about us living in Houston. Right. Black people in Houston. The same way we shouldn't do that. Yeah. And it's the same way. We shouldn't talk about just one thing. No. Yeah. Because if you do that, that means it's not connected. Nope. Well, if you don't mix the social part with the entrepreneurship part, how does that make sense? Doesn't. Yeah. So that's why we're doing that. It gets into politics and and it gets into just so many things, man. Like I said, self-reliance, self-defense, all of these things are absolutely super important. Things that we can do individually. Obviously, we are trying to build the conversation around something. We're trying to find ourselves, but at the end of the day, kind of like in my head, I'm like we need to go after things that we can do something about. Correct. Self-defense is one of them. Correct. Entrepreneurship is one of them. Nobody is stopping you. Yep. And and that's the one great thing about this country. See, like in Haiti, if I go to Haiti right now and I talk to my friend in Haiti, my best friends, I say, hey, I have an idea. I want to start something. Hey, Papa. I wouldn't do that. Why? Oh, man. Whoever else has a business similar to that's going to kill you. Shit. And it will happen. Yeah. My cousin, I had to talk to him. Remember him? Yeah, he called me up. Said, "Cuz, what's up, man? Yo, you remember Tilolo?" I said, "Yeah, I remember him. I met him a long time ago. Tilolo, man, he's a good. He went back to Haiti, man. He started a grocery store up there, man. A grocery, well, not really a grocery. It's like he was like a warehouse for water. Yeah. He was selling water, and they burned it up." Okay. What? And they burn up the truck that was transporting that stuff. And then they told him, if you don't leave, we're gonna kill you. Damn. Okay. It was real. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's real. Yeah. And that's the violence we're talking about. We don't have that here in America. No. You can do whatever you want, wherever you want. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So that's our advantage we have. Another one we have, we trust one another. Yeah. Like we don't think, like when I'm talking about, like, I don't think you're ever gonna put poison in my food. Yeah. I can go in the fridge right now, give you whatever I want, offer you whatever, and you're gonna take it. I have family members coming, I'm back in Haiti. I never, they never invited us to their house. We never go out to eat to anybody's house. I know so many Africans. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of Africans. I've never been to an African house and eat at their house. And I know a few Africans. You never get invited to their house. No. And they don't invite each other. You know why? Trust issue. So they can't even sit down and eat. Yeah. Because they think one's going to poison. It's crazy though. Like that poison thing.
that African poison thing is a real thing.
It's a real thing in Haiti too.
Like almost every African, seriously, I'm not even exaggerating. Like I'm serious. Like the majority of Africans that I have any kind of close relationship with, they have some story about how they think somebody was poisoned them. Like it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
And so I'm saying all that to say that we don't have all that here.
Yeah, we don't.
We have a lot going on for us. You know, if it's this issue that we were talking about. We are a lot closer than anybody else can be as the Black diaspora.
Correct.
Because the reason why we're here is because it wasn't good for us back there.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we chose here because it's better. So we are closer to the end game than anybody else in the world. So anybody can have that conversation. It's us.
Right.
And leverage from that and take off this entrepreneurship, you know, kind of like blues that we have about, you know, you need to look a certain way and have a certain things, you know. You will get there. Yeah. And you get there, it will pay you double. It will happen. I believe that. You know? I still believe that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's a challenge. Like it's a challenge, but I think it's a positive challenge.
It's a positive challenge. It's achievable. It's very achievable in America. Let's not forget that. Yeah. Let's not forget.
Well, and that's the thing too. Target any search, anything that you're looking to do, anything that you're looking for needs to be targeted. It needs to be strategic, right? And so I think it's when you look to build anything, right? Look for a Black mind. Look for the Black minds. Whatever space you're in, look for the Black minds. You'd be surprised. Just go have that conversation, man. Go have the conversation and remember, you know, you can't be afraid. Like you said, that distrust, it's not. There's no.
But we don't have that here.
We don't.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
We can walk up to anybody here and talk to them and fine, you know. And break bread.
Yeah. Well, let's take a step back. That distrust exists, but it's a one-way thing. And what I mean by that is, if you are somebody who is severely distrusting the Black, listen, where I come from, like everybody steals. Like everybody steals because they're poor, they're fucking hungry, and they just whatever. If it ain't nailed down and you're not looking, I mean, I'm from that place. Everybody knows how to steal in front of your face. Like y'all have ever been in one of those places? Like they can have a conversation. I know cats who have conversations with you. Like, yeah, man. No, it's just like just money. It's like, oh, is that money? They'll just have a conversation. Like, hey, man, I'm watching you. I'm fucking watching you put the money in your pocket right now, right? Wow. Slick, right? Yeah, just because that's how it is, right? And I'm not scarred to the point where I'm so concerned about getting burnt. Right? Of course you don't give somebody a bag. You don't give everybody all of your money. Right. You know what I'm saying? But there are people who you can trust to do specific things if you know what those specific things are.
That's right.
Educate yourself.
Educate yourself, right?
Because that's what fear just comes from ignorance.
That's right.
Right? Educate yourself.
100%.
And this might be the next episode, if not maybe no more than 3 episodes away. Talking about fear, namely the fear of death. Because like you talk about that poison thing, they're threatening your boy. If you don't leave, you're gonna fuck you, man. Right. Oh, if you don't leave, we're gonna kill you. Fuck you. Right. Rebuild this fucking store. This is what I'm doing. Right. Kill me then.
Absolutely.
Right. Like if it means that much to you.
And by the way, on a different topic, there's what happened to Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same situation.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I personally don't think I don't know him that well, but I've been watching and listening to his work and his music. It's really cool, man. Really dope. Yeah. Man. I love his music, man. So it's there's a book about that. There's a guy who came back to his neighborhood and to his village and brought water. Yeah. And they killed him for that. Yeah. And there's a whole book about that. Yeah. You know, in Haiti, where the whole story of you trying to do good, you will get killed. And so that's the story that plagues Haitian. It plagues me. Yeah. Like, you know, it plagues all my friends. Like, you trying to do something positive, you will be killed. And that book, that story is the one. I hate that book. Yeah. Although it's a great book, but I hate it because it gives you a real reason to, you know, it really makes you afraid.
But I mean, again, that's why that's going to be an entire episode, right?
Absolutely.
Where we go through examples and we go through background of where that comes from, what that is. Because, and that's just, you know, look, it's not to plug future episodes, but I want to let you know what we got coming to store. It's going to be special. Yeah. And the reason for that is because you have to understand how key that is to everything subconsciously. As conscious as it is that we know that that's going to happen, subconsciously we know that no matter what niche we pick, no matter how nice it is, no matter how seemingly innocent and benign our efforts are to uplift our people, if you want to do something good for black anyone, anywhere, you gotta accept it. That's the definition of being in a war. There's a high likelihood that you're gonna get killed. Period. Period. Just embrace that shit. Accept that. Right. You know when you talk about Nipsey Hussle, famous last tweet, right? Having strong enemies is a blessing.
Yeah.
Wow. And we could talk about that situation for a while, right? But it's just that thought. It's that concept. Okay, so what? So that's your reason? I maintain this, that if being a full man or woman means that you may be killed and you are afraid to die, that means you are not a full man or woman. You are child. You are childlike, and thus you are a minority. That's why I don't want to use that word, because minority has nothing to do with quantitative census statistics. All right, there's only one minority under that definition in the United States, that is white people. Right, that's it. When we talk about the minority versus the majority, because the cultures of the collective that is not white are far more similar than they are different, and they're far more similar to each other than they are to the white culture. Very true. Right? It's all those brown, yellow, black people, red, black people, far more similar to each other. Absolutely. The foods, the spices, the music, the clothing, far more similar than the hustle, right? Yeah. Far more similar. Family, right? Far more similar than they are to white people. Understand that minority means it talks about will, what your will is, and it talks about the readiness of the larger, or it refers to the power of your will being done in a general assembly, so like laws, right? So Senate, House of Representatives, and then ergo enforced by executive and legislative action, and that's it. And we know there's a reason that we're considered minorities. It ain't because of the numbers, right? You know what I mean? So I think it's very important that people understand that. And that's why I say if you get it, if you break it down, you'll be all right. You know what I mean? If you choose to take action. And so, yeah, man, that, like I said, anybody listening, you got to stay tuned for that Fear of Death episode, because that's important to me. That's very important.
Let's do it next.
That. Yeah.
There you go.
We do that. We'll do that. We'll do that one next. Again, we're gonna just try to find our voice here. You know what I mean? We're going to find our voice on this pod, and we're going to try to do our best to channel the voice of anybody who's feeling the same way. Again, there's a lot of people who are feeling the same way about all of these different things. But I think it's like you said, we have to start to talk about all of these same things as a part of this, of one struggle. We've always had people who said politics were the way. We always had people who said business was the way. We've always had people who said armed struggle is the way. We always had people who said religion was the way, right?
Yeah, and we have people who say let's focus on Brooklyn, let's focus on Houston, let's focus on let's just be very, very geographically cornered.
Correct.
And the biggest guys, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X were part of those for that time.
Right.
And I think we need to step away from that a little bit and say, okay, we are in the middle of a melting pot of not just talking about white people from different countries, but we are in a melting pot of black people from different places in the world.
We have our own melting pot.
Yeah, I'm here, and we should expand on that.
For sure. Agreed. So awareness on that, man. Awareness on, this is a good point, that the diaspora in its near entirety exists
here
in the U.S., man.
Under one roof.
And it's just the one place.
And it could be here in Houston.
Yeah,
I mean, the entirety probably here in Houston.
Right. Places like LA, New York, Miami.
It's in every single. There, we talked about that before. There is a lot of different minorities within within every big city.
Yeah.
So within where we are. So we need to tap into that, and when I tap into it, I'm talking about hopefully what we'll be talking about is like things that are we simplify the conversation,
correct,
and we keep it at a level where not saying we're gonna dumb down anything.
No.
I'm just saying that we are surrounded a lot of times with such cookie cutter answers.
Yeah.
Let's just break down stuff to a point where to make it practical and be like, oh, okay.
Right.
Now I feel like I can do it.
Right. Well, it's like you say, you have to boil it down to the most basic form.
Absolutely.
Because everything's like that.
Yeah, it's easy to make things complicated.
Yeah.
It's not easy to make things simple.
Right.
To a point where we can, do something with it.
Well, I mean, we don't have a choice. I'm simple, man. I'm a simple motherfucker. I'll tell you shit. I'm a simple dude.
Me too.
Like, and I accept that.
Yeah.
And I think that's
that's why we can.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing about this conversation we're having. It's not when we're trying to talk about something really far fetched or complicate things for no reason. I think in America we tend to do that. Just look at sports.
Right.
I don't watch football. I know you do, but I always get a kick out of those guys. If you ever like mute it,
I turned that shit down, dude. It's so funny, bro.
It's so serious, man.
All sports that I watch, man, I turned the volume down.
At the end of the day, just catch the damn ball, man. That's all you got to do.
That's it.
All this other stuff, it's an art, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful to listen to those guys. Like, are they really talking about what I'm seeing?
Right.
And the guy playing football doesn't relate to all that shit in any way.
Nope.
So it's the same thing we're talking about. We're talking about accounting. Let's talk about the basics of it. The one what we need to do what we need to do in the most effective and efficient way. If we talk about marketing, this is what we're trying to do. We're talking about corporate marketing. That needs millions of dollars to be maintained.
Right.
We're talking about what can you do if you are if you used to be. I met today a teacher at Soraya School, and she started her own business. I feel good for her. She was just a TA, and now she started her own nursery.
Nice.
If you're a plumber, an ACO, talk about like things that you can do to, and hopefully that can incentivize people that are new to here, that just moved here, people that's been living here, and that just started their own thing, and hopefully all this stuff will inspire you to do it. And it's also a learning experience for us too. So we gotta be learning together.
For sure, man. And it's not just the pod, right? Like, there's going to be content around how to do very practical stuff. You know what I mean? In those different fields. So, I mean, I feel good where we are. I feel like it's something I'm excited to do. I know I'm going to learn a lot. I'm a firm believer that the best way to learn something is to teach.
Absolutely.
In the first place. So just extending anybody who listens, if they know that they understand something, I don't care what it is. If you black and you have an understanding of something, hit me up.
Give us a call.
We'll provide you, we'll provide you with the contact info. Make sure that you know how to get in contact with us. Hit us up, man. Let me know. Let us schedule it out so that you can come on, so that you can just talk. Hey, man, talk your shit. Talk your shit. You know it. We need to know it. If you really know it, it's not complicated. We can be able to watch that, and again, if you're trying to build something around that, let us plug that in, man. Let us put that out there for the world to see, because it's important for us. I feel like the more I can learn, that's the better. You know what I mean? I feel like when we talk about things as far as ignorance, I look at ignorance as in the way that the Bible talks about ignorance being darkness. A lot of people understand that. A lot of people, and it's not to have a religious conversation. It's just to say, go look throughout time at those scriptures and those texts, right? And look at when people talk about enlightenment, and look at when people talk about being, in darkness and confused and things like that. It's not morality they're talking about. The more you understand about your world, that's the more you understand about yourself. The more you understand about yourself, that's the more that you can.
And to that point, because of the way things happen for us as Black people, we have a big gap in that knowledge part. Correct. Because the knowledge is given from one parent to another. Who were the parents that give us the knowledge that we were supposed to have to be successful in the world that we're in? We didn't have it. Nope. So that's why, talking and having a conversation and not assuming that the other person knows, and assuming that you need to know more than you already know. I need to know more than I already know, a lot more than I already know, and I hope that someone can use the recipes that we'll be talking about here, because we came with nothing as a people, and whatever we have came from slaves that were cutting sugarcane back in the day. So that's where our narratives come from. So talking, understanding, and not assuming everything is what we want to do with this show, man. Talking about things that are not just real, but that are just if we talk hopefully effectively, so we can so someone listening to this can do something.
Yeah,
with it
for sure, man.
Yeah. So.
All right, man. Well, I mean, that's it. Episode 1 in the books. I like how it feels. It sounded great. We'll see what we need to go back and correct, flesh out, and things like that. Might leave it like this, just so people can see the growth.
Yeah.
Again, because that's what this is all about: being honest, being real, being brutal with it.
Yeah.
And so, other than that, we'll be back at you. Episode 2. Like I said, we're going to be having some fire topics that we're going to be going over. Other than that, man, any parting words?
No, I'm really excited. This, I don't know. I told you this, but I'm already improving myself a lot because I'm already talking about. I got so excited. I even reached out to a credit repair person.
Yeah.
Talk about because how to fix your credit, and then after we talk about that, I already have 2 loan officers who focus on first-time home buyers on tap. So whenever I don't know which episode it's gonna be, when we're gonna have it. Could be episode 10, 20. I don't care. But I'm already learning from that process. So I'm really excited. So I think it's gonna we're gonna push it as far as we can because like I said, it's bringing a positive. It's really positive in my life, even before we even had this first conversation.
Right.
So I'm in it for the long haul.
Cool. Same here. We'll go ahead and sign off. I just want to leave y'all, let everybody know. Listen, man, genuinely, truly, from the bottom of the heart, love y'all. All right, peace.